so that's my practice right now,
Yeah.
since I'm letting go. And I've been here before many times, but
Yeah.
it's like I can see that I've never been in this place today, and that I'm growing.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. So Lisa's just sharing the thing that we're all going through. And it's just takes, it's, it's really deep self-honesty to be able to say, I'm, I'm, I'm watching my mind. Well, that alone, to be able to say, I'm watching my mind and I'm watching it gravitate toward all the worldly attractions and all the bodily attractions and all the judgments and all the ego constructs, right? And to be able to just to be able to say, I'm watching my mind gravitate toward that. That is step number one. That's the miracle, to be able to see that. And and just recognizing and even be able to being in a situation where you're doing something you know is working against you, and then be able to say, I'm aware of this. That's a beautiful thing too. And we just trust that it will be undone, and it will. And and here's in my own study this morning, I was reading from the text, and I came across this is the last little section, last few paragraphs of a section in the text called the Forgotten Song. The Forgotten Song, which right away we just know what that's pointing toward, right? And some parts of the text are just, it's like reading the best poetry in the world. It's just so beautiful. And so it talks about the Forgotten Song. It says in paragraph 6, it says, listen, perhaps you can catch a hint of an ancient state not quite forgotten, dim perhaps, and yet altogether unfamiliar, like a song whose name is long forgotten, and the circumstances in which you heard completely unremembered. Not the whole song has stayed with you, but just a little wisp of melody, attached to a person or a place or anything in particular. But you remember from just this little part how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting where you heard it, and how you loved those who were there and listened with you. So it's the road less traveled. And when we slip into that, when we can slip into the state of mind and the direction it gives us, it is not of the ego. This is how beautiful it becomes. And then I'll quickly read here this paragraph number 8 that has just, this is a paragraph that probably kept me going all the years in my practice more than anything else. I think it's probably the best description of heaven we could possibly have in words. And I'll just share it here with you. It says, beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining, and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity, nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that the light is not. It just brings tears of joy reading it. It's so beautiful. All right, here we are now with lesson number 71. only God's plan for salvation will work. So the previous lesson, number 70, my salvation comes from me. Okay, it comes from me, but now it's saying only God's plan for salvation will work. So that's the unity between God and true self, God and us and reality. Salvation comes from me as a directive from God, really, which is really what we want. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposition to God's. It is this plan in which you believe. It's why we're here. Since it is the opposite of God's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of the ego's is to be damned. This sounds preposterous, of course. Yet after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that however preposterous it may be, you do believe in it. This just fits so nicely with what you shared coming in. It's just really reinforcing the attraction to the ego, the belief in it. Let's go ahead and spin around, have your legs up on the wall. And I'm going to grab a strap for Lisa. We'll be using a strap. All right, now let's open the strap up, bring it around the arch of your right foot, and your hands high. Now, we've used the strap a fair amount, and I'd like to use it very passively today. So if your hands start complaining too much or you need a break on your hands, what I want you to do is wrap the strap around them. Just wrap around and have the support like that. So you might try without it. And what we're going to do is just have the knee extended with the least amount of effort, your foot and toes relaxed. See, and you could just keep the heel on the wall right here. Let's just do that a moment. Let your shoulders relax. Let your hands do a little bit of work. And now bring the heel off the wall. And adjust your hands up. Now here's where you may choose to have the wrap on your hands. We'll be here for a little while. The hands cannot complain so much that it takes your attention off of the words and your higher yoga. The ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. You'd be happy. Thus, the source of salvation is constantly perceived as outside of yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. If this were different, I'd be happy and peaceful. The change of mind necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. Notice the little bit of effort it takes to be in the shape. Keep dropping into the bones, keep dropping down into the hip. Let's also notice how much effort it takes to maintain a grievance, to maintain a judgment, and how attracted we must be to that effort. Yeah, we cling to the familiar. Just lower your heel to the wall and Let go of the strap, rest your arms. Don't erase the sensation, just open your palms, open your hands, open your heart. Give up the effort as a gift to God. Give the grievance over. Our grievances, our perceived sins, all these things are gifts to God because they dissolve in the light. And then salvation is the result. That's how we slip into our true function. The role assigned to your own mind in this plan then is simply to determine what, other than itself, must change if you are to be saved. I'll read it again. The role assigned to your own mind in this plan, in the ego's game, is simply to determine what, other than itself, your own mind, must change if you are to be saved. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of salvation is acceptable provided that it will not work. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, for the illusion persists that, although this hope has always failed, there is still grounds for hope in other places and in other things. Another person will yet serve better. Another situation will yet offer success. So this is the pattern. We get compensation patterns in our bodies, and then we get compensation patterns in our lives. And the pattern remains. The grievance, the belief in lack and limit remains, and we carry that forward into future relationships, future circumstances, expecting them to be different. But as long as the pattern is there, the same problem will keep resurfacing, like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. He finally changed his mind, and then everything else changed. Let's put the strap on the arch of the left foot. Firm your thigh. Just enough effort to keep the shape. Let your arms hang. What a nice metaphor to feel the familiar grip of the ego. Slowly bring the heel off. Adjust your hands up. Keep the leg, knee straight with the least amount of effort, your foot and toes relaxed. Let your hands do the work. They'll benefit from it. Let your mind benefit from it by letting it just bring the attraction to light. So such is the ego's plan for your salvation. Surely you can see how it is in strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine. Seek but do not find. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Looking for hope in all the wrong places. For what could more surely guarantee that you will not find salvation than to channelize all your efforts in searching for it where it is not? God's plan for salvation works simply because by following his direction, you seek for salvation where it is. But if you are to succeed as God promises, you will. But if you are to succeed as God promises you will, you must be willing to seek only there. Otherwise, your purpose is divided, and you will attempt to follow two plans for salvation that are diametrically opposed in all ways. The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. How's that for honesty? So the letting go process, the undoing, is gentle. We're not asked to change our behavior. But as we undo and let go bit by bit, we just keep gently falling, being supported by the love of God, who directs us. Lower your heel to the wall. Just let go of the strap, rest your hands. Feel the release in your hands. You feel the circulation return in your hands and your fingers. Just one ongoing choice after another. The Course says, decisions are continuous. And the ego has us believing and thinking that it's just one decision, one life decision, what's best for me. But in truth, decisions are continuous, which is why life is a classroom. And all day long, we can watch the mind. Why not watch it in some of the simplest of circumstances where we get hooked and trapped into a grievance? And in paragraph 6, it says, how can you escape all of this? After that very detailed description of the ego's game plan, how can you escape all this? Very simply, the idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan for salvation will work. There can be no real conflict about this because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you. This is the only plan that is certain in its outcome. His is the only plan that must succeed. Let's go back to the right foot with the strap, and this time we'll put the strap around the heel of the right foot, hands high. And now slowly we're going to make a fist shape with the foot. Curl the toes, bring the sole of the foot toward the wall, keep the knee straight. Cramps are likely to come up here, which is just a cramp is what happens when we move into new territory. It's a neuromuscular skeletal response. So it's new territory and it cramps, and so we're just going to smile and do the cramp dance. Instead of reacting to the cramp, we gently respond. It really is a matter of mind over matter. There's value in the cramps. The same as there's value in our lives of how the ego just gets attracted down these avenues of pain and destruction. Okay, we'll work with it and slowly bring the heel off. Adjust the hands up. Let your shoulders relax as best you can. So it says, his is the only plan that must succeed. Let us recognize this certainty today. And let us rejoice that there is an answer to what seems to be a conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible to God. Salvation must be yours because of his plan, which cannot fail. We want to get so clear on our ego patterns and habits. And then we watch how the ego wants us to play it out. And then when we start to say, no, thank you, I'm going to wait, I'm going to try something different. Lower the heel to the wall. Put the strap on the heel of the left foot. Straighten the knee, curl the toes, move the foot toward the wall. You can anticipate the cramps. They're going to show up in this shape for almost everybody. like I say in class, when a cramp shows up, there's the yoga. You don't have to advance the shape at all. And you slowly bring the heel off. The movement comes from the hip alone. Yeah, adjust the hands up. Yeah, let's make a commitment, a gentle commitment to go with the plan that cannot fail. It says, think about today's idea. Only God's plan for salvation will work. And realize that it contains two parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. Only God's plan salvation will work. And realize it contains two parts, each making each contribution to the whole. Equal contribution to the whole. Let's lower the heel to the wall. I want you to rest your hands, rest your legs. And just take in these two parts as it describes. God's plan for your salvation will work, and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inherent in the first. Okay, so it's just really driving it home. Jesus is saying, it has two parts. God's plan for salvation will work, the others will not. And so he's saying, this is going to upset the ego. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part, because it is inherent in the first. And in the first is your full release from your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. It's like we bond ourselves in chains and then we try to fight against the chains. And he's saying, no, wait a minute, I got the key right here. Just put this key in the little hole, turn it to the right, shift your mind to the right, and set yourself free. It will lead to release and joy. All right, so set the strap aside, bend your knees, push yourself back. Stretch your arms and legs. And when you're ready, find a comfortable seat. I'll read just a little more. Sitting comfortably. Close your eyes. Settle into your structure. Have the shape as effortless as possible, but don't try to avoid sensation. Remembering this, that his plan will lead to release and joy. Remembering this, let us devote this practice period to asking God to reveal his plan to us. It says, let's ask him very specifically. It's a deep, deep prayer. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Give him full charge of the rest of the practice period and let him tell you what needs to be done by you in his plan for your salvation. He will answer in proportion to your willingness to hear his voice. Refuse not to hear. It's so beautiful. This is the forgotten song. If you have the text, go back and read the section on the forgotten song. It's so beautiful. It's just basically saying here, let's remember the song. The very fact that you are doing the exercises proves that you have some willingness to listen. This is enough to establish your claim to God's answer. says, be alert to all temptation to hold grievances today and respond to them with this form of today's idea. So this is the mantra throughout the day. You can repeat it 6 or 7 times an hour, it says. And we'll close with this gentle prayer. Bring your hands to your heart. Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation. And only His plan will work. That's beautiful. Be so thankful for that simple truth and the guidance it will bring, the peace and joy that will come. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.
Yeah. Okay.